Super Bowl 47 between the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. One of my favorite guests that we saw last time 2 years ago in Dallas is the great Mike Haynes, NFL Hall of Famer with Know Your Stats, prostate awareness. Great stuff right there. Mike, Zach Gelb here. Great to see you again. How are you?
I'm feeling great. Thank you for having me on again.
Well, it's
good to see you.
It's good to see you, too. It's Hall of Fame weekend. That means we'll find out who gets in the Hall of Fame Saturday. We'll see some new members into the fraternity of NFL greats. Take me back to that day when you get that call and they say, Mike, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Well, obviously I was extremely happy, calling a lot of my family and friends, and they were calling me because some of them heard about it on the news or the talk shows and things. So it's just a huge time, and the people at the Hall of Fame make it really special too. And they were all, trying to help my family have a good time and get us all excited about what was to come in months ahead back in Canton.
Can you appreciate that moment when you get that call? Do you really appreciate it the day where you finally get inducted in Canton?
Yeah, I really had an appreciation for it, and I thought, I wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, and it was a surprise that I wasn't. But like I tell all the guys, it doesn't matter when you get in. Once you get in, you are in, and it doesn't matter how long. Lynn Swan, a great friend of mine, was always complaining, but now that he's in, he says, he realizes it too. It doesn't matter. He's in, and he had a Hall of Fame career, and it is recognized, and that's the most important thing.
You're exactly right, because every year I talk to a guy by the name of Jerry Kramer, who's one of the best offensive linemen in the history of the league. John Hanna thought he was in the Hall of Fame, so did Roger Goodell, and he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Do you have any explanation for that?
I don't, and I never do. I mean, there's a lot of guys I scratch my head. Tom Flores, I have no idea why he isn't in. Lester Hayes, and there's a lot of guys. But the guys who do the voting, I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason. I wish the Hall of Famers had a vote. A lot of people think that we do. We don't even have a vote. So if a player did not get along with the reporter in his area that has to really,
like Bill Parcells, let's say, who's a coach. He's not in. He's one of the greatest coaches in the history of the league.
Yeah, I think he's going to go in. I think that he would have been in, but when he retired, then he took a job right away. I think that hurt his ability to get the votes to go in. But fortunately for him, he doesn't have to wait the 5-year period. He can get back in the game again. He will definitely go in. Come on, he's anybody think that Bill Parcells doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame doesn't know football.
So let's say you did have a vote. You're going at Strahan right now, coming in.
He's in.
Great defensive end. Is he in the first
Absolutely.
time on your ballot?
In my ballot, he's in. I mean, the records that he has as a sack man and the contribution he's made as even to his entire organization, even to the team, the community that he lives in and everything, absolutely, he deserves to be in.
We're talking to Mike Haynes, NFL Hall of Famer, played with the Raiders and the Patriots. Mike, before we get to know your stats, you played in a Super Bowl. You won a Super Bowl with the Raiders after you left the Patriots. Take me through those emotions leading up to the big game.
Well, it's the biggest game. It's a lot of fun during the week. Our team, because they had played many of the guys, I wasn't part of the team, but the Raiders had played the Washington Redskins earlier in the season, and the Washington Redskins had beaten them. And as a result of that, I think some of the guys were a little bit antsy. My free safety guy named Van McElroy was very tense that week. And if a receiver caught a pass and tried to turn upfield and run for a touchdown, Van might hit him and not, start a fight or whatever. And so I don't think that most people would. Well, maybe most people would be surprised. There's a lot of tension in the air, that on that day. And I love Tom Flores because one of the things that I can say that he really did a good job of was not letting us feel any pressure. And I felt totally comfortable about our ability to have a good game plan, our ability to win. He didn't put any pressure on us, really. But what a lot of fans don't know, or a lot of folks probably don't remember, is when the Raiders had played the Redskins earlier in the year, Marcus Allen didn't play in that game. He ended up being the MVP of the game, had his best game of the season in the Super Bowl. And Cliff Branch pulled a hamstring early in that game, when they had played earlier in the season. And he ended up throwing a key block for Marcus on that touchdown and catching the first touchdown pass of the game. And I was sitting out in limbo land. I wasn't even a Raider. I wasn't playing football for anybody. So all three of us had huge contributions and big impact on the game. And I think a lot of people aren't aware of that.
Now, you had an interception back in that Super Bowl. Take me back to what you remember from that interception.
Well, we were getting good pressure on Joe Theismann all day, and he wasn't able to get the ball in normal positions for his guys to make catches. and they switched. Art Monk generally played on the left side where Lester was, and I was covering Charlie Brown most of the game. But towards the end of the game, they switched it and put Art Monk on my side, and they tried to throw an up pass to him, and I was able to pick it off. Not a tough catch or anything, but a big play in the game.
How do you think the Super Bowl has changed from when you played it into what we're going to see coming up on Sunday?
Well, the biggest change is that,
it's the media, right?
It is unbelievable. I mean, here, how many tables are in this convention
Too
center?
many. Too many egos in one room, Mike.
It's huge. And, the players don't see that. Their exposure to the media is on media day when they come out to where the players are, and there's a time limit as how long that's going to, how long they're there. And that's a lot of fun for them. And, hopefully at some point in their career they'll get a chance to come in and see what this is like, because it's unbelievable, and it really kind of highlights how big the game has gotten.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're talking to Mike Haynes, and you look at a player like Ray Lewis getting all the attention in the world from his whole story, last ride, it's his retirement. But you look at one of the greatest safeties of all time, and Ed Reed, it's like no one's talking about him. He's never won a Super Bowl. This Super Bowl, I believe, it means more to Ed Reed's career, because if he wins, he'll finally get a ring, whereas Ray already has the ring.
Well, I think you're right, but I guess because Ray's announced his retirement, it's huge.
No doubt.
When you take a great player like him and say this is it for him, that's huge news. And Ed Reed, he's got a few more years in him. But you're right, it's going to be huge. And I think that's why a lot of people will say, are they all playing for Ray? Heck no. But it is something that they add on to what they're playing for. And I think all of that weighs really well, or does really well for them, getting them in the right frame of mind to have a good game.
Zach Gelb here on Radio Row in New Orleans. It is the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Baltimore Ravens, WHIP in Philadelphia. We're talking to NFL great Hall of Famer Mike Haynes, won a Super Bowl, actually is wearing the ring right now, right in front of us. We'll get to know your stats in just a second, but let's take a look at one of your other former teams. We talked about the Raiders. Now let's get to the Patriots. Their secondaries continue to be a problem. What do you think has to change with that unit?
Well, I got a chance to watch them. I don't think the Patriots are that far away. I think they do need a little help on the defense. I don't know if it's in the secondary or not. They had some young guys, and now that some of these guys have gotten a chance to play in the AFC Championship game, they know what it's like. They know how long the season is. They know what the conditioning has to be and what level of conditioning they need to be in to have the type of season they really want. And I think, we're still going to see some great Patriot teams in the future.
To me, this Patriot secondary is at its best when they have keep Talib there. Talib's a free agent this year. We all know how the Patriots are with money, so do you. Talib, do you think he'll be back with the Pats next year?
I'd like to think so. I mean, he pulled a hamstring in that last game, right?
Yeah.
And that hurt. That hurt him, and I'm sure
the life just came right out of the Patriots the minute he went out of the game.
Yeah, because they knew that the best chance they had to win, everybody had to be healthy and doing a good job. They weren't really deep at that position. So if he's not there next year, it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I'd like to see him there. I'd like to see those guys get another crack at it.
Let's go to New York, to the best cornerback in the league. There's been some talks that Darrelle Revis might be traded. I think the Jets would be ludicrous if they do that. Look where the Jets are right now with Revis. If they trade him, I don't think it would necessarily be the right move. What's your take on Revis?
Well, I think you like to have the best players in the league on your team. And the main reason for that is you want all of your young players to see what that is and what how close they are to being what he's like, and working to that standard. And I realize that because all the teams that I've played on, they've always seemed to have great cornerbacks. Go back to the Patriots, so they drafted me, then they drafted Raymond Claiborne. When
they won Super Bowls, Ty Law was there.
Right, Ty Law.
Harrison was in the secondary too.
There's, you can go on and on of the great cornerbacks that the Patriots have had. Why? They had some standard, and so maybe they can say that now that they've been with the coaches and the scouts have been with Darrelle Revis, maybe they can feel like they can go out and find another one. But the guys still need to have that standard there to measure their own progress against.
Many people are going to be watching Darrelle this year, and he's coming back from injury. Can you see a slow start by him this year coming up next season?
I know him. I don't really know him personally, but I know great athletes, and so I don't see him having a slow start. He will be working his tail off. he'll want to come in and have a fast start next year.
Before we let you go, see, you need your health to be here. We talk about how incredible this event is. Know your stats, prostate cancer, very important, especially, you look at this. If you're not healthy, you're not going to be here. So tell me a little bit about what you're promoting today.
Well, for those fans who may not know, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in the fall or the summer of 2008, and it snuck up on me. I didn't know. I was in good shape. I looked great, felt great, and I found out later that I had prostate cancer, and this is a real shock. But it shouldn't have been a shock. I mean, 1 in 6 men are going to be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, and 1 in 8 women are going to be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. So more men are going to get prostate cancer than women are going to get breast cancer, but no one knows about it. Everybody, every man, every woman knows what a breast is, what the symptoms of breast cancer are, all of that. But when you talk about prostate, most men can't tell you where it is, what its function is, or what any of the symptoms are. And so we're going to try and change that because more men are going to get prostate cancer.
And I would have to imagine the most important part about this is at least scheduling that appointment and scheduling to get that checkup to make sure you're okay.
Well, the most important thing is catching it early, not necessarily scheduling the appointment. Catching it early, because you might schedule an appointment and find out that you've had it for 5 years and you're catching it in stage 3 or something. You want to catch it early. You want to know if it runs in your family. If it is, that means you're more at risk. You're more likely to get it. African Americans are also more likely. Half the cases of it are going to be African American men, and 60% of the men that die from the disease are going to be African American. That's the way it's been. So we're trying to find a cure, but until that happens, the best thing that we can do to save lives is early detection. So that's when it's most treatable. Almost 100% chance of having a great life if you catch it early.
So you're
almost
okay right
100%. I'm good, yeah. Where other cancers, you're like an 80% chance it's going to come back. This isn't one of those cancers, but if you catch it, if you don't catch it early, it's a different fight. So we're trying to send as many people as we can to our website, knowyourstats.org, for information about our program, which is really a partnership between the NFL and the Urology Care Foundation, which is made up of all these fantastic urologists, to help get their questions answered. That's where men and women also should go, knowyourstats.org. And, you can sign up and help us out with this fight. That's another thing you can do.
I'm glad to see your health is great. It's always great to see you. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Zach, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this again.
Mike Haynes right there. We'll take a quick break.